even is art? How do I appreciate it? What does it even mean to appreciate it? I have some book recommendations to help answer those questions, and spoiler alert, they're all fiction. Hi, welcome back to Modern Art for Haters, the show where I talk to you about books and you don't have to read any of them. Today I'm going to recommend some books that helped shape my appreciation for art. The first one I want to recommend is The 100 Dresses. This is a book about a little girl who shows up to school every day in kind of tattered dresses, but she swears that she has 100 at home. And two girls in her class go from being cruel to being curious about her, and over the course of the book, we learn the power of the ability of art to create worlds and to imagine a life that's better than the one that we have. It's a really short read. You could probably read it in an hour. It has beautiful illustrations. If you want something just really quick that will refresh your love for art, this is the book. The next one is From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil Frankweiler. This is like gold standard for appreciating art. If somehow you've never read this book before, it is about a little boy and a little girl who escape to New York City and live in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And while they're there, they uncover this mysterious statue that may or may not be a Michelangelo, and they decide it's their job to investigate and find the answer. This book paints such a beautiful picture of what it looks like to really resonate with a piece of art and to let it change you. And it does it in language that is so accessible to everyone. I absolutely love it. Next one is a book called Okay for Now. This is about a boy who has grown up with a lot of just really poor role models in his life, and then he moves to a small town. In his new life in this small town, one of the ways that he readjusts is that he learns how to draw by copying the pictures in the Audubon Book of Birds. And through this process and through the connections that he makes with other people in town, he kind of finds healing and finds this new way forward in life and how to imagine what kind of man he's going to become. This book does such a good job showing the ability of art to heal us and also how the creative process can bring people together. I haven't read this book in a couple years, but I'm going to reread it soon and I'm really excited. The next book I want to recommend is called Now Is Not the Time to Panic. This is about two kids in East Tennessee who are bored one summer, find a Xerox machine and use it to create a bunch of cryptically worded posters that they put all over town, and their posters end up causing a national panic. This story is strange, this story is fascinating, and it does a really good job showing how art can help us express things that we don't really know how to put into words. If you do read this book, please also read the author's note because I think he brings the story together in a really good way. Next one is a book called Where'd You Go, Bernadette? This is the story about a former architect turned housewife who up and disappears one day, and her family tries to pick up the pieces and understand where she went. The whole story is told only in correspondence, emails, memos, text messages. It is so fascinating, and it also paints a really good picture of what it means to need to create and helps you understand creativity as something that gives and sustains life. I listened to this as an audiobook. I think the audiobook is excellent if you want to do that. The next book is a book called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I did not read this thinking this would be a book about artists because it's supposed to be a book about video games. Turns out that's art. I'm not really a big video game player, so I didn't really understand the creative side of creating video games, but this really opened that up to me. This book does a really good job kind of exploring the concept of a creative person and how they manage their creative life and their personal life. And it also paints a really fascinating picture of what it looks like to have a creative relationship, partnership with somebody. If you've ever wanted to see video games as an art form, I highly recommend this book. It will open your eyes. This book also got me into the show Mythic Quest, and a lot of the themes in this book are also explored in the 5th episode of season 1 of Mythic Quest in a very special episode that they did called A Dark Quiet Death. The last book I want to recommend is one called Esme Cahill Fails Spectacularly. I like this one because it's local to me, which is really fun. This story tells a little bit of art history, but it's a historical fiction, and it does this beautiful job exploring the idea of what does it mean to have success in art. So that's my list. Those 7 books have done a lot for me to help me understand what it means to view art, understand art, appreciate art, make art, and be creative. So if you want to understand that better, I highly recommend any of those books. But the good news is, if you don't want to read any of them, you don't have to.